At 11, he taught himself how to code. And if you know anything about computers, it's all about the code. At 12, he created his own business, Bledsoe Technologies, LLC. And then at 14, he had 150 employees and contractors working for him. But I want you to join me in welcoming Jaylen Bledsoe from St. Louis, Missouri, to Kansas City, Missouri. So please give him a round of applause.
So first, I thank you all for bringing me here. I'm excited to be here in Kansas City. The last time I was here, I was 8. So it's been a while. I'm now 18. I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to be here and see so many young men in the room excited and ready to learn how to just grow. I'm all about growth. My philosophy is if I can grow, my bank account grows too. And I like when that grows. So I'll give you guys a little bit about my backstory, as David said. 16 years old, my parents had me. At 16, my parents had me. Saw my mother struggle, saw my mom struggling to pay the bills, saw her struggling to provide for me. And that lit a fire under me. I knew at a young age that I could never be in the same situation financially that my mom was in. So, starting as early as kindergarten, I always had a drive. I always had an idea on what the next business was going to be, who my mentor was, who my mentor was going to be, who I was going to meet, and who I wanted to be just like. So who's ever heard of this guy named William H. Gates? Who's ever heard of Bill Gates? What about Microsoft or Windows? So Bill Gates, in kindergarten, he was I looked up to him. You know, someone who can learn how to program, learn something about computers and make the PC that we know today. And in the process, he's the richest man in the world? Richest man? And I don't know about you, but $67 billion looks good to a kindergartner. Heck, it still looks good to me at 18. So I set my sights on someone who's big, who's done it, and I chased after that, starting early. So at 11 years old, taught myself to program. 7 languages out of 10 books over 4 weeks. I learned 7 programming languages, which is just as hard as learning a normal language. You gotta type it all day long. And you gotta use question marks and asterisks and left bracket, right bracket. 7 languages over 4 weeks out of 10 books. That was the start to all of what's happened. So I did that. I began to develop websites for myself just to play around with, and trust me, they sucked. They were horrible. But luckily, someone was crazy enough to say, you know what, I'm going to pay you to do it. So I had a cousin who said they would pay me, and they had me start a website for them. First thing I learned was when a family member says they're going to pay you, you ain't never getting a check. Ever. Yeah, you know what? I sent the cash in the mail. Yeah, I really ain't getting it. It got lost somewhere between here and your pocket because it was never there. But kept going. You know, I did his website and I got better, and I did someone else's website and I got better at it, and I began to perfect that skill. And I had someone else who wasn't a family member offer to pay me $10. At 11, $10 is a lot of money. That's like 10 small fries. That's like 2 large fries from McDonald's. It's good. So I took it, $10, did a website, and it looked like a $10 website. It sucked. Then I kept going, and I perfected my skill, and someone said, I'm going to pay you $20. So I took the 20 and I did it. And it was a $20 website. And about 6 months later, someone was crazy enough to say, I'm going to pay you $150 for a website. At 11, that's a whole lot of money. It's like Toys R Us or something, and go just have fun. So I took it, I did it, and it was great. So then I had someone else tell me, you know what, can I pay you $10 an hour? And I was like, yeah. It may take a while, but it'll get done. So I did it, it was great, and someone said 20, so I went up to 20, and then someone said 30, and then 40, and then by the end of that year, I was making about $150 an hour on website projects. At 11, close to 12, which is crazy. So I asked myself the question, what's next? How do I take this further? How do I take it on to the next step? So went online and I Googled. Who's ever used Google? So I call it Google University. You want to learn it? Google it, you'll learn it. So I did it. Google how to start a company, started it online for $7. It's sole proprietorship. The company was a businessman's IT solution. That was a long name. Didn't like it then, don't like it now, it just worked. Went to a bank to get an account. I've always had this facial hair on my face, so went to an account at make it 12 to get an account, sitting there for an hour and a half. I'm signing papers, putting money into the account. And then he asked for my ID. What kind of ID do you have at 12 years old? Maybe middle school ID? So he kicked me out of his office, told me to never come back again because I wasted an hour and a half of his time. So that was like hearing no. Who's ever heard the word no? Who likes the word no? Who hates it? So here's my thing. Then I hated it. But shortly after, I began to understand something. I had to love the word no. Because if I hear no, it gives me a passion and a dream and a mission to make that person wish they would have said yes. So long story short, I was 12 then, I'm 18 now. That banker calls me every day, asks me to have an account in his bank. So that ability to have someone tell you no, to have someone almost crush your dream, and to make them come back 5, 6, 7, 8 years later and want you to be there, to wish they would have said yes. That's a motivation for me. Every day. Now guys, if you ask a girl out and she says no, after 2 times, you may want to stop the saying. But if it's at a bank, keep asking. Keep going for it. If we're getting a mentor, keep asking, keep going for it. There's never a time to stop, right? There's never a time just to give up. You want to keep going, keep showing a drive. So my answer to that was Googling. I love Google. St. Louis's best business attorney. I called the first one. Hi, I'm Jaylen D Bledsoe. I'm 12 years old. I know how to program. I want to start a company. Can you help me out? But by the way, before we get started, I can't afford you. He says, well, you know what? Because you called me and you showed me you have a passion, you have a drive, and you have this deep motivation to do it. Come to my office on Saturday. We'll see what we can do. He says, so can you manage a computer? I said, yeah, that's easy. He's like, so just remove viruses and kind of keep it up to date? I said, I got you. He said, can you manage a printer? You make sure it's connected, make sure it's always printing, replace the toner out of our stock from downstairs? I said, yeah, I got you. He says, well, if you can do that, I'm going to handle all your legal services for free. We're going to start your company. So every Saturday, for 4 hours, I was at his office, planning a business, building a structure, setting a foundation. And a year later, on March 10th, we started that in September. No, sorry, started that the April before, the company was founded and legal as Bledsoe Technologies LLC, which for me was a great thing. You know why? Because I love the word free. But I also love the title of being a CEO. That was great. Going to school and owning a business was the best thing ever. Kept going. That company grew to be an IT consulting company, developing websites, developing apps, looking at infrastructures, partnering with Google, partnering with Microsoft. And by 14, I was hiring over 150 contractors around the world to work for me. So to be someone who just 3 years earlier was told no, 2 years earlier was told no, and didn't think it was possible, it became possible. So that's my story, but I think I want to take it a step further and really begin to apply kind of what I learned to your lives. How's that sound? So do I have any entrepreneurs in the room? Anyone who wants to be an entrepreneur? Okay. Here's a better question. Anyone here hate something? They have a problem, they hate something with a passion. Taking out trash, something. So you know what the difference between you and an entrepreneur is? They solved the problem, and they sold it. So my entire mission in my company, I currently invest in about 125 companies. My entire mission in doing that is looking for people who have found a problem in their everyday life that people can relate to, and investing in them because they've solved it, and they're able now to sell that to the people who have that problem. Think about your cell phone. It's wireless, right? Has a battery. You can go pretty much anywhere. When my parents were young, a long time ago, back in the olden days, actually probably would have been my grandparents. My grandparents, if they had it, they had a bag with a long cable out of the back, and that was a cell phone. But who thinks carrying around a 50-pound bag is a phone? Who thinks carrying around a 1 pound or less phone is a cell phone? Right? So see how the evolution's happened. So before I start with this next piece, I want to set this foundation. I do it every time I do a talk, and setting the foundation with what this is going to be about. So today I want to talk to you guys about the expectation, about having expectation, walking in purpose and walking with an expectation. So do I have anyone who's ever read a Bible? Who's ever touched the Bible in here? Okay. So the scripture that I base my entire life on as I walk in purpose is Mark 11:24 in the English Standard Version. So it says, "Therefore I tell you, whatever you ask in prayer, believe that you have received it, and it will be yours." So for me, I've understood it to say, if you want it, ask for it, but know that it's already done. If you want it, ask for it, and know that it's already done. And I've grown up in church, and I've been in church all my life, but I understand this one thing. Being religious requires you go to church, know of God, but go to church every maybe Christmas and Easter. That's all it requires. Christmas and Easter. But having faith is knowing God and believing in what gets not seen. Having faith requires that you know God and believing in what gets not seen. So for me, being that young kid, I wanted a business, I wanted to be somewhere, I wanted to have something, and I didn't have it. I had no money at all. But I knew that I wanted to be like Bill Gates. And I did it. I walked in that purpose. I walked in that expectation. I already knew it was happening. I already knew it was mine. All I had to go do was pick it up. To walk after and pick it up. How's that sound? How's that sound?
Good.
How's that sound?
Good.
Perfect. So because I'm able to walk in faith, I'm able to do anything that I want to do anything that I have on my mind. But the best thing about this thing is understanding where we want to go. That's great. Our destination is amazing. But it's more important, what's most important is the journey to get there. So who's ever driven a car? Okay? Who's ever ridden in a car? All the younger ones. When you're driving somewhere, where are you looking at? Ahead. How far ahead can you look? As far as you can see. Who's ever used this thing called a GPS? A GPS. It may be on your phone. You may have an old one that you put on your dashboard. So GPS, so sometimes when you're going somewhere, you may text a friend and say, hey, I'm going to be there at 12:35, right? But do you actually know you're going to be there at that time? But when you tell them you're going to be there, you're talking in confidence, right? You're saying, I'm going to be there. You don't say, I think I'm going to be there. I'm going to be there around. I'm going to be there at 12:35. That's what my GPS says. So you've already put your trust into this computer. And you already know that you're going to arrive to your destination. But what's important is what's ahead of you right now. So 50 feet ahead, what do you see? And that's the thing we look at every day, is what's right ahead of us. What's that journey? Because if we were to somehow put some glasses over your face and you could only see your destination and you couldn't see what was right in front of you, you would get in accidents, couldn't make the right turn, and you couldn't even drive straight. If you were stuck in your future, if you were stuck in your destination, that's all you could see. You couldn't drive your current body, your current vehicle, without accident in the right direction. Let me ask this question. Who's ever played video games? Anybody? Grand Theft Auto, maybe? Okay. So, let me ask you this. When you start the game, when you first get it, can you jump right towards the end of the game? What has to happen? You got to finish the levels. You have to complete the challenges. You have to complete the journey. Well, let me ask this question. When you finish the game and you're done with it, you finish all the challenges, you beat all the bonus content, who goes around and just drives around in the game? Who does it all the time? Who finds a new game and goes to play that? You know why you do that? Because you get bored once you're done. Because all the content and all the fun, the purpose of the game, is all in that journey. It's all in completing each of those challenges. It's all in beating your competitor. That's why you play a game. You don't play it to just be done and drive around bored without anything to do. You play it to overcome a challenge. So literally, in life, as we go towards our dream, it's all about understanding how important our journey is. The journey is the best part. But there's this really important piece. The journey is difficult. Who's ever failed? Who likes failure? I love it. Every time I fail, I learn something new. I have a degree in failure. I have a big degree in failure because I fail all the time and I'm able to learn and grow from each of my mistakes. I have this motto that I will not allow my setback, my failure, my mistakes, to cause me to sit back. No matter what, I'll prepare for my comeback. I won't let my setback, my failures, my mistakes, my miscommunications allow me to stop. I won't allow it to make me sit down. But while the world's laughing at that mistake, while the world's criticizing that mistake, while the world is finding an issue or problem with that mistake that they believe should make me stop, I'm looking at how to get back up and run even faster. For all my young people in the room, everybody, if you fall, how easy is it for you to get back up when you're 18? Easy, right? Now what happens if you're 65 with 2 replaced hips? It's harder, right? Is it harder to get back up? So right now, being young, being able to get back up when you make a mistake easily, it's the best time for you to get out there to get into a journey towards your destination. Because it's really interesting. I use a GPS all the time. I trust it to get me to where I want to be. I follow the journey. I look at the next step, make a left here, make a right here. But sometimes I make a mistake. I'll make a left when it says go right. Or I'll keep driving when it says go right. But what does the GPS say when you make a mistake? Reroute it. And what it does at that point, it looks at where you currently are, forgetting where you've been, looks at where you want to go, and creates a new route. But then sometimes, if you're like my mom, another mile down the road, you make another mistake with that GPS. You go right when it says go left, again. What does the GPS say? Reroute it. So then it forgets about your past mistakes, it forgets about what you've done before, it forgets about where you've been, and looks at where you want to go again. Looks at where you currently are, and creates a new route. It recalculates. And no matter how many times you mess up on this GPS, it only recalculates. It never says, you know what, I'm giving up on you. It never says go back home. It never says, you know what, I'm done with you. It only finds a route to get you to be where you want to where you need to be. And at the end of all those mistakes, at the end of all those wrong turns, at the end of all the detours, the GPS at some point is guaranteed to be programmed to say, your destination is approaching on your left. It has to say that. Because you as a driver, you have faith in that machine that's telling you where to go. You set your destination, you set your dream, you set your vision, you set your goals, and you follow the journey that it has programmed for you. Now, after every mistake, recalculate. I won't let my setback cause me to sit back. I'll prepare for my comeback. After every time, you make it to your destination. After every time. So that's this entire concept that I've learned, now being 18, starting at the age of 11 with the company, being at 18 consulting celebrities, working with Steve Harvey, working with Jordan Sparks, being a consultant for Ford Motor Company, being the face of AT&T for a campaign, receiving the Ebony Magazine Power 100 in 2014 as one of the most influential African Americans in the country, along with Bishop T.D. Jakes, President Barack Obama, along with speaking at the White House at 17. It's all in the idea of setting goals, dreaming big, because if you dream big, you can achieve big. It's all about enjoying that journey, taking it one step at a time, looking at what's right ahead of you, looking 1 foot ahead of you, looking up to 50 feet ahead of you. That's what it takes to avoid the immediate accidents, to make the right turns, to mess up and grow from that. And then so in the end, you can make it to your destination, but at the end, immediately upon you arriving, it's time for you to set a new goal. It's time for you to set a new dream. It's time for you to set a new vision and begin on that journey. Because if you're playing a video game and you complete that game, you get bored. I don't know about you, when I'm bored, I'm not making money. And I don't like that. So when I can find that challenge and go after it to achieve it, that's what it takes to have a success, to have happiness, to be complete, and ultimately to grow. How's that sound? So who understands now the importance of their journey? Okay. Do I have anyone in the room who thinks they can be an entrepreneur? Anyone who knows it? Who are those hands that you guys had up earlier who solve problem in society? Who solve problem? who hated something that they deal with. Taking out trash, something. I think y'all got something. Now take that problem and solve it. Take the problem, solve it, do your research, get your education, get what it takes to do it, and sell it. You know what's crazy? I just found out recently. I was doing some research. As a black community, we have the ability to purchase and spend a year $1.1 trillion, right? Trillion with a T, as a black community. Do you know how much of that we spend on black hair? Take a guess, say it out loud.
9 billion?
9 billion? Nope. Nowhere near. $500 billion on black hair. We can spend $1.1 trillion a year as an entire community, and we spend $500 billion with a B, $500 billion with a B on black hair. But here's the question. What percentage of that is actually owned by the black community? Less than 10%. So that means we're giving away half of our wealth immediately to somebody else. So the importance of being an entrepreneur, it's about keeping wealth for yourself, but also for your community, for your race, for your group of people. I mean, it's important. Now, this question. Who here has ever bought a pair of True Religion jeans? You pay about $150 plus, right? 200? 200-ish? Okay. Who's ever bought a pair of Walmart jeans? No, hey. Okay. $40, right? So here's the thing. Who knows they're made in the same factory? Made in the same factory. The only thing that's different is the stitching and the logo that's on it. The same exact jean. Maybe a little bit more starch on the Julian jean, but the same jean. And where's that money going? Somewhere else. I mean, I've asked the question, who's ever bought some Jordans? Right? Yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm. Spend 200-ish on them, right? 100, 150? 114. Where's that money going? Going to Nike, right? They're spending it, right? But it's not going back to your pocket. So here's the extra challenge I leave to all you guys when it comes to it. Understand your money. I mean, it's so crucial. How do you keep money? How do you save money? How do you invest your money? When I was 13 or 14, I might have been actually 15, American Airlines, they were going bankrupt. They were out of cash, right? Their stock got down to about 10 cents a share. 10 cents a share. And because I understand the value of that company, I bought a whole bunch of it. A year later, their stock was $44.20. So from 10 cents a share to $44 a share. Now let's just take this math. If you had some money that you spent, you bought some Jordans for $114, right? If you spent $114 and put that towards the stock, bought it at 10 cents, and sold it at $44 a share, how much would that be? Someone take a calculator out. Someone take a phone out. Take 114 divided by 0.10. What's that number? 1,140. Okay, now multiply that by 44. 43, that's the growth, 43. What's that? $50,000. So that means if I took a pair of Jordans and bought this stock for 10 cents 4 years ago and sold it a year later, you would have had $50,000 cash in your pocket. So the importance of understanding money, understanding the market, and just learning and reading, it's so crucial. And I have one last question for you guys before I open up to you guys. This last night at an event, and was working with MasterCard, right? Told them what I was doing. They told me they would give me two things: a check for $1 million. Okay? They're going to give me a bank account that had compounding interest. That means whatever I put in it would double. Okay? They said they would put 1 penny in that account. That's all I could put in there. But the interest would grow. They would give me that account for 30 days. And luckily they said that I can give both of these things away today to you guys in the room. $1 million check and an account with compounding interest at 100% for 30 days. Who here wants a $1 million check? Okay, who wants the account with a penny in it? You want 1 penny. Give an account with compounding interest with a penny for 30 days. Okay. So if you want the check, stand up so I can see you. Nope, you already had your hand up. I already got it. Stand up. Okay? So listen to this. If we took that account for 30 days with 1 penny in it, compounding interest, you would have $5,368,709.12. So for all you guys who stood up for that $1 million check, lost out on $4,368,709.12. Let me take a seat. So, listen. Most important thing I can leave you all with: learn money. Learn the terms, learn the verbiage, learn how it works, learn about banks, learn about investments. And even with investments, you don't have to go out and buy oil companies. You can buy the companies that you support today as a consumer. So if you want to go buy some Jordans, instead of buying Jordans, invest in Nike stock. So one thing I would leave with you: learn your money. Be about your paper, be in your paper, but not in the paper. And that's it. Thank you. So what we're going to do, we're going to take about 15 minutes of questions and answers. So if you guys have any questions for me, opening up the floor to you all, free of charge.
All right.
Typically these questions go for about $5,000 to $6,000 in half an hour. So it's all on you. Yes. How much money do I have now? What legacy am I looking to leave? That's a great question. I think most importantly is that you can do all things. Take it a step further, you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. If you have a dream, you have a vision, you got to ask for it and walk in that purpose and do it. Because my number one belief is that if you don't begin to walk in it, if you just ask for it and you just wait for it to happen, God's not bringing it to you on a silver platter. You gotta go after it and get it. Yes.
Do you have any kids?
Do I have any kids? No. No, sir. Once I'm married, I may have one or two. Yes. What college will I be going to? So, I'll be going to Holt International Business School in San Francisco, Dubai, Shanghai, London. I'll be there, off the record, to assist in the development of their entrepreneurship major and incubator. So I'll be, in a sense, until the ink dries, I'll say, like a professor, but also I'll be a student at that school. Yes.
How do you know who to trust
How do I learn who to trust? That's a great question. I think trust has to be earned and is never given. So I give people opportunities to prove their trust, to prove their loyalty. I think that process is all about who initially you surround yourself around. If you, it's a coined phrase, but if you are with 4 people who are broke, you're going to be the 5th. If you're with 4 billionaires, you're close to being the 5th. If you're hanging around 4 liars, you might be the 5th, but you probably don't know because you're lying to yourself. But also at the same time, if you surround yourself around 4 liars in a sense, people who are attracted to you now are going to be liars. So it's all about being right here first, and allowing that to attract the right people, and giving them chances to prove their trust. If they can't prove it, don't allow them to be there. Because I think for me, being 16, having what I had, everybody wanted to be my friend, everyone wanted to be around you, but it's important to understand why you're here and what you want from me. So ask that question. What can I do for you? Most importantly, what are you going to do for me? How's it going to work out? Yes.
Could you share with the group about peer pressure,
Mm-hmm.
being in where you're at now?
Most definitely. Understanding first your morals, understanding where you want to go, understanding where you want to be is the first step. Knowing that builds your foundation. My philosophy, if it does not help me out, and it does not make me money, my favorite word, after God, I don't want it. I have this understanding when it comes to peer pressure. There's 3 opinions I care about. God, my parents, and whoever writes my check. 3 opinions. So if you're at school and you're in my class, and you're like, hey dude, like, that's not cool that you're not like out partying, you're not out smoking, you're not doing this. That's on you. You can do that. You can go have fun with that, but that's not me. Because if I understand who I am first, as a man, and I'm growing, there is nothing that anyone can do who's weaker than me to get me off my track. It requires the strength of a man, the strength of a woman to stand in a situation where people want to pull you off track. It requires strength to stand in that place and continue moving forward. Thank you. 2 last questions. Yes. Favorite part about being in Kansas City right now? I've been here for all but about 12 hours, so I haven't got to experience the food yet, but I know that's pretty good. Or so I've heard. I don't know. I can't admit to it yet. But I think the best part is about being in a room of young men who are prepared to grow, who are taking that next step to being successful, to having their dreams come to life. I love surrounding myself around a room with people like this because the spirit is high. I know that if I've done it, I know that you can do it, but also we can go help other people do it. Because now you're taking that torch and you're going to help start that same fire, that same mission here in Kansas City. Yes, I'll take it. Okay, Eli's too. Yep.
Do you have any other ideas that you're planning to work on? If so, how are you planning to achieve
Okay, love it. So, my biggest project right now, I'm in the process of starting a bank. I've learned the lack and ability of lower income areas to understand the value of money, to understand what money is. And currently the system of banking is around high fees and utilizing banks as a holding zone for zero balance checking accounts. So my mission is to help turn that industry around by educating our members and having financial advisors at all economic levels there to help you out with $20,000 in income or with $200,000 in income. I think everyone understands and needs to have the understanding of how to budget money, how to spend their money, and how to grow their money at the simplest level. So that's my current endeavor. It's a big one because apparently you got to have a lot of money to start a bank. Didn't think that would happen, but we're currently in the process of making that come to life. I said 2 more questions 10 minutes ago, but how much time do we have?
2 more questions.
2 more questions. Okay.
Last 2.
Sir, do you know anybody named Erica Bledsoe?
What's that?
Do you know anybody named Erica Bledsoe?
I have 150 cousins in my generation, so we're probably cousins somewhere. But I won't count that as a question, so we can get 2 more. Yeah. The lovely world of Google. I learn everything that I can off of Google. Google is a source of knowledge from many different backgrounds, many different economic levels. The internet allows you to remove all limitation from your education. Most importantly, it allows for a different perspective. So you have sites like Google Answers, you have Quora, you have all these places where people from all levels go to contribute knowledge, and now I can grow from that. So I learned about all that via the internet.
What is your aspiration?
Aspirations in life. The thing is to keep on motivating, to keep on inspiring. My mission statement is to aspire, so to teach students to aspire to be great. Teach students really teach my peers to motivate them, to give them motivation, and to inspire them personally, so they can find inspiration. So my aspiration is to help achieve those 3. Aspiration, motivation, inspiration for the people I speak to. Thank you.
We've been very blessed to have Jaylen here today. Trust me, we've been working on it for a little while, but he's been worth it. And I hope that you all learn something from him, because I'm a little bit older than him, but he's just as wise, I can tell you that. He's very wise to be 18 years old. I had one question for you. What do you see out there with young men? Do you see more with young women or young men? What do you see out there with young men on what they need to do?
That's a big question. I think the biggest thing is to be successful in any world. As men, the biggest issue is the lack of ability to take responsibility. So in order to be successful, we have to find that problem, solve it, sell it, but as we make mistakes, is remove the pride and be proud about the growth that's about to happen. Mm-hmm. Taking responsibility is the biggest thing you can do. And it's crazy, like, men not taking responsibility dates back to the Bible, like Adam and Eve. Eve bites the apple, gets to Adam. God's like, why'd you do that? He's like, God, you gave her to me. Like, you gave me that. That's not me. So I think it requires, and it's ingrained in us, that we have to take responsibility to be successful. The men who have the best and who are the best and who've grown the best and have grown the most, they're grounded in a foundation, and they're grounded in the ability to take responsibility when it's their fault, so they can grow.